Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for a bench press day. But a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please remember to click like down below. Be greatly appreciated. So today I started ramping up a bit with my closed grip, and I went back and forth a little and tested my wider grip. I'm like, you know what, I just feel stronger today with my wider grip. Normally they've been neck and neck. I'm like, let's just do some wide grip benching. All right, let's do some wide grip benching. Because again, even this closed grip here, this ramp up felt a little bit slow. So for the peak set with 270, I went ahead and went over to pinkies on the rings, which is wider grip for me. I've never been a real wide grip bencher. And you know what? Even with me setting up arching, I'm doing flat foot, trying to just work on getting the best arch I can. Flat foot, I feel tighter, with my heels down. I really do. And you know what? I was happy with the set, especially cutting 270 for 6. Paused. Didn't really grind on the last rep. I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it. I mean, it was a little slow, but not a true grind. Probably could have ground out another rep if I had to. You know what? I'll take it. And it felt pretty good. Shoulders are feeling pretty good these days now. And, here's the thing. I'm like, I could just wider grip. And, at the end of the day, I got longer arms. There doesn't tend to be a lot of difference between my wider and my closed grip. There really doesn't. Mainly because I'm going to have a long range of motion. The real wide grip makes benching easier because guys with shorter arms can really cut that range of motion down. Just like guys with real short legs can pull sumo, because it cuts the range of motion so much. But, look, let's just get strong. I mean, at the end of the day, the only way my bench is coming up really is if I just keep getting stronger. Work on good technique, work on tightness, and I need to figure out, again, where I'm tightest. And the more I mess with it, you know what, heels down, I just feel tighter. All right? And at the end of the day, I'm never going to be able to have a big enough arch or grip wide enough to get a short range of motion because of my arm length. So what I really need to just focus on is whatever lets me get tightest, the most secure, get the most drive, and then I'm just going to have to just build the bench muscles up. So I'm going to have to just overdevelop my front delts and my triceps. Which, again, we started overhead pressing again. The press is being treated as a primary movement. That's going to help. And, I'd said the other day I was kind of torn. Do I want to mess with incline or do I want to mess with dumbbells? I think if I'm going to go mess with the wider grip on days like this, incline's probably the way to go. All right, so I did my normal 5x10, my boring but big. I did these really just trying to hold real tight at the bottom, right? So I'm trying to really control and just get a little bit of a soft touch. I'm not really sinking it. They're almost a spoto press as I'm doing them. So I'm trying to just come down under control and just explode on the way up. Because again, we're using such a lightweight. And I have other videos coming out. A lot of people are like, so what's the point? I don't understand the lighter weight after the back off work. For more advanced lifters, we can get the upper threshold fibers really, really easy after the heavy work. And that's the difference. This is what a lot of coaches have noticed. This is why you don't need limit sets and everything else after you've done your heavy work. The true pump work really works. And you have to go with lighter weights than the more novice lifters relative to your maxes because we are able to recruit upper threshold fibers easier. This has been noticed with advanced lifters. In general, in research, we can hit them easier. We have more direct access. And therefore, it doesn't take as much work to really fatigue them. And some of this pump work, we are hitting the upper threshold fibers, especially if we have already attenuated them with heavy work first. So after my benching, I just did my 5x10 pull-ups, wide grip pull-ups. And like we said, I had a few people come in and have said, I went ahead and tried these the way you do them, and oh my God, did my lats light up more. Okay, there's something to the way that you do this. Again, all I'm going to say, no one can really talk smack about my back development. You guys have seen me shirtless enough. Everyone's like, yeah, your back is ridiculous. Okay, and this is the sort of training I do for it. Deadlifts, pull-ups, rows. And people have oftentimes historically had a problem with the way I perform rows, the way I perform pull-ups. And I'm like, but my back is bigger than yours. And we're kind of hitting all three angles now anyways with all of it. Because again, I'm doing chin-ups and I'm doing rows on my overhead press day. So today we just try to get some back work in, particularly between the other pressing to give a little bit of a break. Get some back work in, but the main back day is going to tend to be on my press day. And today's really focused on being, a pec and tricep and front delt day. Which, speaking of which, we'll come over and what's next. We did incline bench. And at a 45 degree, I had to get warmed up to even touch. And because, again, my range of motion, the first couple reps warming up for this, I couldn't even touch my chest with the bar. I couldn't stretch it down. So for me, the incline puts such an enormous stretch. And you guys have seen me do a max on an incline before and everything at this angle. So for me, again, that pec stretch is just monstrous on this. Even with 135, this starts getting real challenging real quick for me, especially after I've done all the other work. And that's the other thing. A lot of my people who do this programming realize they get fatigued super fast. They're like, oh my God, these light weights start to get really heavy when you start getting quite a few sets deep. They get real heavy real fast after you've done those heavy sets, because that really heavy work fatigues you. Okay, the 5-3-1 stuff fatigues you. Your upper threshold fibers have been hit hard. We're coming through creating metabolic fatigue for hypertrophy. And it doesn't take a lot of weight. It really doesn't. Because you've fatigued it already. And that's the point. I would never recommend that someone come in fresh and do this stuff. And that's what creates the confusion. You wouldn't do this fresh. I mean, if I was going to do this fresh, I'd come in and do 205 for 10. This is going to be my first lift. All right? So I only did 3 sets of these because I realized the stretch was so deep and I just came back from a deload. I have DOMs in my legs, which I don't normally get, because I did so much squatting yesterday after a deload week. I'm a little worried about my pecs. So I stopped at 3 sets there. I'm probably going to have it anyways. Then for my final exercise, I went ahead and went with these dumbbell extensions. I've realized, I do need to get a stretch on the triceps. I've been doing a lot of the band press downs and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, that's really working the lockout. What do we need on the raw bench? You need power out of the bottom. And a lot of people are not aware of this. And I've seen Duffin discuss this on my Facebook wall before. I'm friends with Duffin. Again, he sent me those shoes the other day. Those free shoes a while back. We get along. He said before, look, people need to understand triceps are kind of important out of the bottom of a bench press. So what do we need? Well, that more stretch position. Probably is not a bad idea for me to work some of these back in for a while. I've been doing so much band work. But if you look at the strength curve, that really is more of the lockout. I really need some stretch work on the triceps. And I'm getting so much pressing in general. I think my general tricep strength is fine. Because now if I'm doing 2 presses on bench day, I'm doing a press on overhead. Overhead day has its own 8 work sets. We're getting plenty of just good mid-range tricep work. I really think it wouldn't be bad for a little bit to do some stretch position stuff. All right, get that long head going a little bit, which does matter on the bench a lot. That's a whole nother topic. A lot of people are like, well, the long head doesn't get recruited on the bench. Biomechanics and EMG might suggest otherwise. Some of the hypertrophy data hasn't been that promising, but we know that it gets used heavily. So, again, the shoulder extension isn't so much required as the stretch is. Right, and that's where people mess up. It's the stretch that really hits the long head. The shoulder doesn't have to move that much. So I'll get that stretch position, which should help me, again, get more power out of the bottom of the bench, just like all the delt work, the incline overhead work does. So we can explode out of the bottom. It's really what matters on a raw bench. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.